welcome to everybody that's actually managed to join us live. We have a wonderful group here today. For those of you that are new, we communicate during the process. You can ask your questions in the little chat box at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So we look forward to welcoming you here as part of this amazing and powerful community. Where we really do work consistently to align, to unfold, and to shine our diamond light. So we're really taking a little bit of a different view on things and a perspective on things today by working with our bioholograms. And I don't know, it seems to have, sort of really piqued the interest of quite a few people. So I don't know if any of you have got a concept of what bioholograms might be. I mean, don't worry, we're actually going to go through some of that. But I hope that you guys have managed to perhaps make a note of any specific issue that you would like to focus on today. And because the energy is revolving around our integrity with which we open to receive abundance in all its ways, in alignment with our specific purpose on this planet, then the issues would more than likely be aligned with areas in life where you've identified there may be obstacles in respect of receiving and manifesting and harnessing and being able to demonstrate that abundance in your way and in a way that is perfect for your life. So I think it's going to be quite a powerful session. So please feel free to chat. Let's have a look first at the Mayan signature for today. Of course, we know it's a gap day. For those of you who are new to the concept, I'm not going to go into great detail, but gap days are, in the extended lingo, galactic activation portal days. So these are days when we have greater access to source and to our source. Ultimately to the source of all life and light on the planet. So it's kind of like an open portal that grants us an opportunity to step up a notch, if you like. So there are 52 gap days within the year, within our or within a 260-day cycle of the Mayan calendar. 52 of those days are so-called gap days. Each one of them represents an opportunity for us to align more deeply with the source of our own essence. So let's have a look at the signature for today. It's known as Blue Galactic Night. And today's energies integrate the mission that we are on. That's a key word. Modeling the dream, being guided to integrate the accomplishment of aligning our minds to the abundance that this earth offers us. Unlimited in our capacity to heal any limiting thoughts by allowing our limbic brain's connection to the resource of the earth and how to receive them, resources, I think that should be plural, through allowing the deep intuition that is connected to the planetary dream held in the iron crystal core of Mother Gaia. That's a little bit of a long-winded introduction. This is taken from Time Wave's website. .org, but key in this is that we have an enhanced capacity to heal those limiting thoughts. So this whole process of transforming our bioholograms is really key and a vital aspect of the benefit that we can receive through this particular portal in time today. So Mother Earth, Gaia, wants us to have all of our needs met in order to fearlessly be focused on our mission. It is not through our external efforts alone that our needs are met. It requires a deep internal healing of allowing the feminine brain to be free to receive. Yet we must act, and we will be shown by the action of our inner knowing which actions externally will support our abundance, allowing the integration of the dream and the integration of our mission. So we're talking about integration, and integration is also aligned. It's the root of the word integrity. So this whole integrity and integration of this healing in order to realize the abundance that is fueling our purpose upon this planet. And as we said a little bit earlier, it really represents today a restart. It's like pushing the restart button at the moment. And as I said, that was Kai Patch's astrological insight as well, which is quite fascinating. So today we are supported by Galactic Warrior, guided by the sun in the cycle of the moon. This is to integrate our solar intelligence, our masculine mind that is in service to the pure flow of the blood's message to the limbic brain, to receive those messages and to carry those messages into the external world, fearlessly shining our pure light in the mission that integrates our capacity to flow. So, we're talking about transforming the way that our internal messages, our internal system, and the information that we carry internally is translated in order to be communicated to the external world. So for that, we need not only the right brain open in order to receive the intuitive impulses, we need the left brain acting in coordination and harmony with that, both integrated so that we can manifest the structures in the external world that are going to support our ability to live our mission fearlessly. Does that make sense, guys? So I've just given a little bit of a reword on that one from what is sort of quite verbose on the slides. Feel free to pop in, step in if there's anything that you want to comment on or add in the chat room. So very powerful day, very powerful opportunity. Today's challenge that strengthens is Galactic Skywalker, guided by the Earth. So we have these two opposites being brought into alignment. The Skywalker, the adventurer, the cosmic beingness, our cosmic self, full potential self, highest self, guided by the earth, connected with the earth and the mother, and the source of our earthly abundance. So that we allow the perfect moment to express the messages received internally, not a moment too soon, not a moment too late. To give the messages received from our intuition or the translation of those so that they have the most impact in allowing our mission to follow its course, that our needs for that mission also be met in perfect timing. Timing is everything, divine timing. Oh, well, wonderful. Welcome. Hi from I'm in the UK, so we have guests here from all over the world. We've got some from Florida, some from Europe. So welcome. Good to see you. Reno, Nevada. Wonderful. Oh, Bucharest. That's fantastic. Hi, Nicole. So we've got a wonderful, beautiful community here today from around the world. So really, really important, bearing in mind also what we're doing, because everything that we do with our personal bioholograms feeds into the holographic field that is our external reality. So yeah, we're really covering all bases today. Thank you, Rachel. So wonderful. So I hope you got that bit, that there is a massive divine timing, and today is really an issue of divine timing in everything that we do. Timing is everything. A message can be wasted if it is thrown into the wind with no one's receptivity available. And do we really think about that? When all are ready to receive in a split moment, that same message can be a key to passing through limitless doorways. And that's, that brings me back. Rachel and I have had lots of discussions about the essence of the diamond light work, and what has really been happening with that is that it's been about perfect timing. I've kind of been working on trying to get the message out there. It's been integrated. The seeds have been sown for many, many years. Those of you that know me, that know the history, know that this has been happening since 2004. For me, 2003, 2004. So we're looking at like 16 years almost since that process and that journey started. And for the first 10 years, nobody was talking about diamond light. Nobody could hear it. Nobody could actually understand it, connect with it. Now we're getting lots and lots and lots of connections as the work in this diamond community has been done. I say nobody, but a select few people who have supported the Diamond Light community in all this time, and really embedding and anchoring those energies so that more and more people could begin to connect with it. Now is the time. It actually has been a case of perfect timing and total trust that there would be support along the way in order for that perfect timing to be realized. So whatever it is in respect of your mission is to also be in that place and space where you acknowledge and recognize the perfect timing of the gifts that you bring. So the hidden gift of this day is rhythmic mirror, to organize the physical reality for perfect balance, which reflects the endless order that is required to receive and act upon the intuitive impulses received in order to allow expansion, to have our temples in order, to place the right elements in the right places, to encourage our physical temples to allow the receptivity of that healing, which will show us how to place our temples to allow for maximum fearless expansion. When all is in order, we are ready to receive the greatest gifts. And that's really what we're doing. By transforming some of these bioholograms, we are deepening our preparation for maximum fearless expansion. So we've got a lovely comment here in the chat room from Araya, who says, I find that really interesting, as my work with the dragons began in 2003, and in the last 2 years the world has finally been ready to receive it. Definitely connected to the diamond aspect. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Araya. That is so true. And yeah, as many know, I actually have addressed and we have done work with the dragon energy, understanding the dragon energy at the core of our being in a very, very different way as it links with the whole diamond concept and the realignment to our diamond self, if you like. So yes, very interconnected. So wonderful that you're here. Mary, our temples, we're really talking about our physical body. We are a living temple of consciousness that is the vehicle through which we actually express our full, have the capacity or the ability to express our full potential self. Okay, so Rachel has also said a beautiful white dragon came in with the diamond light Reiki. Yes, when we did, that's also one of the aspects of the diamond light Reiki that we were gifted with during Rachel's attunement to the Diamond Light Reiki master level, part and parcel of what we are introducing at the moment. So it's going to be completely different. It's definitely realigned and aligned with the new energy. So I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into the significance of the energies of today and why this gift of expansion through working with these bioholograms is actually so significant. Again, it's perfectly timed. And it was I just, all I can say is that I'm usually guided and the pieces like fall together in the right places at exactly the right time for the right purpose, which is what always happens with these monthly gatherings. What I'm guided to do is always exactly what is needed. So I thank you for listening to your own intuition and bringing your energy to this particular gathering. So before we go any further, so there's a bit of science in this one. So some of you who don't necessarily tend to operate or have your thoughts aligned with the scientific aspect, I ask for your patience. Again, ask questions if there's something that you don't understand. So I just want to go through a couple of the definitions to support where we are going with this. So to potentiate, maybe a word that some of you are not familiar with, but potentiate really speaks for itself. It's to make something effective or more effective, to give power to render active or potent. So we would have bioholograms stored within our physical temple, within our physical being, that act as saboteurs. That may be pathological in a sense and that serve as stumbling blocks. So what we want to do through this process is we actually want to potentize them. So we want to potentize them in elevating them to their highest expression. So we render them active or more effective than what they have been in our lives up until now. So that really speaks for itself, potentiating them. What is a hologram? I think most of you will have some concept. We understand that we live within a holographic universe, within a holographic field. Modern science and quantum physics is actually understanding more and more and more that we are embedded within a series and sequence of holograms. It's an enfoldment of information. So we live in a holographic universe. So very, very simply, I looked for the most simple definition of a hologram that I could find. So I hope this makes sense for you. It says a hologram is a three-dimensional image of an object. And in our case, with the bioholograms, that object is the thought, the belief, or the pattern that we are seeking to adjust, which is produced by a recording on a photographic plate or film. In this case, the recording of your thought, belief, or pattern is stored in the water of what we know of in your cells as your microtubules. And there's loads and loads of stuff now in respect of quantum computing and quantum physics, what's the word? Biocomputers that are working with the functionality of the microtubules. So it's really, really interesting. It's a massive subject. So very briefly, the recordings of your thoughts, your beliefs, and the patterns around certain aspects of your life are stored as holographic images in your microtubules, and they are projected outwards, illuminated. The pattern itself is illuminated by coherent light, and that coherent light is the light of your full potential self. So your full potential self, your highest expression is the coherent light that actually projects that pattern externally into a 3D form so that you experience it in your physical reality, in whatever way it is, so that you can see it and interact with it, adjust it, and work with it. Does that make sense? So in the same way that you see a 3D image projected from a photograph on a specific plate, yeah, this is the process that takes place biologically. Thank you, Mary Beth says, wow, fascinating. Yes, so I hope that makes sense to you. So what's key in this statement that I want you to connect with is, number one, it's stored in the microtubules, not the DNA, interestingly enough. The image is stored in the microtubules. What happens is your DNA becomes part of the projection mechanism. And your full potential self, or your diamond self, because your diamond self is your full potential self, is the coherent light that illuminates and projects that image. Now, this is one of the reasons why I discovered, and how I discovered also, that many people almost seem to be afraid of what the diamond light work represents, because the diamond light is going to project everything that is actually stored as these patterns in your microtubules, whether they are dysfunctional or fully functional, fully realized, mature aspects of that pattern. So what is driving everything? So what you perceive as challenges in terms of the projection of these patterns, what drives it, because it's illuminating it, is your full potential self, or your diamond self. It's driving all of the experiences that you have. Does that make sense, guys? Are you with me? Let me know if you're not. It's ish. Okay, Rachel, yeah, hang in there with me. Hang in there. Okay, so yes, I've had people over the years that have been afraid of, or who've shied away from working with the diamond light. And it's because the diamond light illuminates everything. So it illuminates everything that is not in alignment with it, in order that we can transform that issue and bring it into the light of the diamond. And I think in diamond language, you would get that. It's just that it happens biologically in a very specific way within our body, in respect of projecting those holograms or patterns as into three-dimensional form. So what is a biohologram? A biohologram is an enfolded unit of living consciousness. Okay, so a hologram is not something that is inert. A biohologram, yeah, I know, Rachel, it's fine. A biohologram is something that is actually alive, because we interact with it all the time. It's part of our biology. We are living it because we are ourselves completely enfolded aspects of consciousness, right? So it is an enfolded unit of living consciousness. That thought, that belief, that behavior, whatever it is something that you live out. It is represented in these bioholograms that are stored in the microtubules in the cells in your body. They are also, bioholograms are self-organizing information systems. It is an information system, fully interactive, changing all the time, which is created as virtual reality graphics among the water molecules within the microtubules of all your cells. So it's imprinted into the water of the microtubules. So in this case, it's the water itself that acts as the photographic plate that stores this information. They are created by and also control thoughts, feelings, actions, and consciousness of the individual. So depending upon the content of that enfolded consciousness, is it limited by having a boundary around it so we become caught in a feedback loop? Or is it open to constantly upgrading itself into its fullest potential so that we can experience and change our behaviors? And as we do that, we change the bioholograms. So there's a dual feedback loop here. There's a feedback loop. We either get stuck in the box or we create an open system whereby that feedback comes in not just from our biology and our physical environment, which very often creates a closed feedback loop, but that feedback loop is actually extended into the greater field of potential where our highest self, and you could also think of this as hyperspace, the greater field of potential, which is where your higher self lives, which is able to then constantly upgrade, shift, and change those imprints and patterns within the cells in your body. So the bioholograms are actually projected via your DNA to create your holographic reality, personal and collective. So the light of your higher self runs through your DNA. And your DNA is what does the projecting. But your DNA, we know, responds to the environment. The environment is created as a consequence of all of these bioholograms. So what these bioholograms are and what they are storing will determine what your DNA does, and hence what you experience as a projected reality externally in the world. Okay? So it's a, so what's interesting here is that it takes us to working with the bioholograms as a fundamental primary step in changing our DNA. So just doing a DNA activation, and I'm guilty of this because this is now something that I'm learning, doing a DNA activation doesn't necessarily change the biohologram if we are not conscious of what it is and what it is projecting. We need to communicate with that aspect of our own living consciousness in order to shift it. So DNA activations are not primary. Your bioholograms are actually the primary area and focus for change and shifting. So a lot of stuff out there with the new age so-called spiritual environment DNA activations. It's more biohologram transformation, which causes and creates the activation within your DNA so that something different is projected. So you change what is stored. Yes, you change what is stored in the microtubules, and I'm going to show you some of this in a minute. So you change those bioholograms, and that then changes and activates your DNA to do different things. Your DNA is simply the blueprint, and it's what you are activating that blueprint to do, and that from whatever that blueprint is receiving, that is then projected out into your physical reality. So it's a slightly different sequence of events. So your bioholograms can be inherited biologically, and they can be created. So we inherit a lot of them biologically because we inherit the cellular contents when we are born. basically, when we are born into this physical body. So there's a lot of those cultural beliefs and thoughts and holograms, if you like, that are transferred along with the cellular structures. And it's where memory is stored, if you like. So that's how we inherit those memories. And as we then develop, embedded within whatever culture and space that we are brought up in, we are influenced by our external environment. This is the feedback loop, which then creates additional thoughts, behaviors, and responses, which serves to create more of these bioholograms, which then get imprinted into the cells in your body. So there are two ways. We create them and they can be inherited. When we start expanding our consciousness, we begin to create different bioholograms. Okay. But when we start creating different ones, the minute you start letting higher potential light into the system, you begin to bump up against what are known as the gatekeepers of the biohologram infrastructure within our bodies. And those gatekeepers can actually result in significant resistance in respect of you being able to embody the changes that are actually happening. And that's why when a lot of people wake up, they think that waking up and just doing the initial stage of waking up is all that's needed. Oh, I'm awake. I've had this amazing spiritual experience. Well, actually, that's just the start of it, because then we need to go back into our biology and begin to transform all of the bioholograms that we have embedded within the cells in our body. So it's a real challenge to do that. Does that make sense, guys? Are you with me? Some of these bioholograms may be pathological and negative, which are closed, or open to growth and the realization of potential. It depends on how tightly the boundary was put in place or sits around that particular hologram and what the microtubules do in response to what that biohologram is. So it's the functioning in these microtubules. And this is really interesting because, I mean, I came across the whole concept of microtubules some 8 years ago, but I really didn't connect with the depth of understanding of what's actually coming through now. So this is really, really important, and it begins to change the way that we can transform our being through interacting with these bioholograms as living units of consciousness that have been perhaps ignored, that have perhaps been left to their own devices, that we have just refused to look at. So there's many ways that we're going to do this, but it's something that's alive. So integrity, we're talking about the integrity of abundance, the integrity of being. So integrity is the state of being unimpaired. It is a state of soundness. It is the quality or condition of being whole or undivided. Isn't that beautiful? It is completeness. So we are in the process of restoring integrity to every aspect of our being. And we are constantly then unfolding it within the physicality of the cells of our being in a very, very profound way. So there's a lot of really interesting science behind this. So let me see. Rosemary says, will you ever give a PDF transcript of these sessions? I need to see the words. Oh, what I can do is you get the recording, obviously, of all of the slides, and I can give you a copy of the slides so that as a PDF file, so that you can then make notes if you wanted to re-listen to the session, that you can then make notes on there. So I don't actually do transcripts as such, but I can do that. So if that would help you guys when you go back and listen to this again, because I know it takes a while to integrate. It took me a while, so I said, having come across the concept of microtubules years ago, it's really hit me at a much, much deeper level at the moment, and beginning to make a lot more sense. Now, a lot of this, I have to say, there's a lot of these insights that have actually come from a guy called Victor Vernon Wolfe, who has an entire program called holodynamics. So a lot of these concepts have actually come through from his work. And he's a physicist. He's an amazing, amazing man, a really beautiful man. So Geraldine says, really helpful to have words on PDF to make notes. Yes, okay, will do. Absolutely. Okay, so we are in the process of restoring wholeness and completeness to our being. So every time we are challenged to move into a place or position of integrity, we can see where we're out of integrity by actually viewing the projections of these bioholograms in our external reality, what we bump up against. So, what is your full potential self? Your full potential self. It's slightly different language. It is your hyperspatial counterpart. It is the aspect of you that lives fully potentialized in hyperspace, beyond this dimension. You might even want to refer to it as being in a parallel world or a parallel dimension that is projecting into this dimension. So it is it could also be termed your highest self. In some of the spiritual books and spiritual terms, it's referred to as your highest self. So it's your full potential self or your diamond self. Okay. That is fully potentialized in hyperspace and is the light source that illuminates the biohologram so that you can see it. That's the coherent light source. That's the one gift of the diamond self, is that we begin to embody coherent light, and that coherent light actually begins to reveal very, very clearly, because it's coherent, what those bioholograms actually are with its consciousness. So that which created your higher self or full potential self is that which created and projected you in all of your totality into this dimension. So it is the home and the space of your full potential. So your full potential actually represents the solution to all of your problems. It is the home of all of your solutions. So the solutions are actually the cause of projecting the problems, if you like, through choosing a physical body, a physical culture, a certain set of conditions to project into this dimension. So your full potential self, your higher self, your diamond self is actually the driver or the force that directs you to connect with your source. So it is the potential that actually drives the challenge. Does that make sense? Because that turns everything on its head. What do? We get presented with challenges in this life. So we are challenged to find creative solutions to whatever the challenges are that are being presented. If the problem itself was actually created as a consequence of the home of our full potential self that has all of the solutions enfolded within its consciousness, then it's those solutions that have created the problems. Then the solutions pre-exist. So all we need to do is to be able to make that connection. We don't necessarily need to create the solution. We need to make that connection between the problem and its higher self counterpart or its solution, so that the energy of that solution can be brought into the transformation process and into your biology. Yeah, Rachel said, it's like remembering who you are by forgetting. So how does that feel? Because if you think about some of the challenges that you find yourself facing in the external world, you automatically want to go into, and we talk about, sort of finding creative solutions to those challenges. But how does it feel if you know that the solution already exists? And it exists because it drives the potential of life in this environment to realize its wholeness. It's the place that we strive to find. Yes, so your full potential self fuels and drives all of your experiences, and it naturally drives you and fuels your expansion, because that all of those solutions already exist. And that's what we want to do. Just this simple process. Yes, like being called home. So when you connect with the diamond light, that also explains why as well. You know, when we do the diamond light alignments and people actually connect to that energy, that one of the responses they usually have is, I feel as if I've come home. I've come home to myself in this physical body. So it is, you know, sort of that wonderful fleeting experience that reminds you that home actually can exist within you. All we need to do is to make that connection. But all of these little bioholograms that have been living inside our body, each one of them is actually seeking transformation into its highest expression. So when we do that collectively within our body, and with all of them, we can go into this over and over and over, you know, sort of each one that we transform adds more full potential into the system. And that in turn filters out into the collective field and then becomes experienced as reality. It also then becomes part of the memory banks and the new holodyne infrastructure or biohologram infrastructure that is then passed on to future generations. So it means we change what the inheritance is for future generations by doing our work. So it's so important. We change the collective and we actually change our lineage. So it's a different way of looking at things that really connects us with scientifically, almost with the mechanism of how this happens, how it takes place. And it helps us to fine tune or refine our ability to transform from within. So there are many, many different ways we can do it. This is one that is beautiful, it's graceful, and it helps us to fine tune our alignment. So this is something as well to think about. You are a living community of trillions of cells that go back to the origin of life itself. So the microbiome that lives in your body, these are all of the, like your gut flora, the bacteria that live on your skin, that live in your gut, that live in all parts of your body, everywhere. That's called the microbiome. The microbiome is actually billions of years old. Okay? So you're a living community of trillions and trillions of cells, not just the ones that we might think of as us. In fact, our personal cells that are not part of the microbiome is actually way, way smaller, actually, than the total microbiome. But if we expand this way of thinking, you therefore carry the entire history of the planet through your very physical form. So when you start tapping into some of these bioholograms, you can actually reach back, way back, billions of years back, into the very origins of life itself. Not only our life, but the origins of life. And that time and those opportunities and those cultures and times on the planet when life actually did exist in harmony as a global and personal community. So it's kind of like we've become very fragmented over the years, and we want to reunify all of that history, the entirety of our being, into an integrated, cohesive, and powerful whole. So as we seek to do that, yes, that's where we often get memories of other lifetimes. Yes, because those memories would actually be or those experiences would be stored as bioholograms within the physical bodies. They would be imprinted within the collective field. They would also become a part of the living microbiome that extends billions of years through all generations. So it's like everything that has ever been experienced would also be enfolded in consciousness within the microbiome that keeps on reproducing itself. So yes, that's where all the memories would actually come from and emanate from. So we would have those experiences. Okay, so I hope I haven't like fried your brains yet. I'm really, really just trying to keep this as simple as possible. So what about the microtubules? Where are they? What do they do? They are in every cell in your body. Don't worry about all the labels on this. You don't need all of that stuff. All that we are looking at here is a blown up little extract of the cell. So this is, all of the workings of a cell with all of the little bits and pieces that are in there. Some of you may recognize some of them. But what you have here in this little expanded section here is what you generally can't see, these microtubule filaments that exist that run throughout the fabric of your cell. Okay, so every cell actually has this network of filaments that runs through it, the known as the microtubules. Okay, and these filaments are filled with water. They actually have what are known as tubulin dimer switches, alpha and beta. You don't need to know that, but these basically function as on-off switches. Okay, so your microtubules can actually are influenced by the bioholograms that are stored in there, in respect of whether they open the switches to allow for greater sharing of that information, or whether that switch remains closed, in which case you get caught in an internal inner restricted feedback loop. So is it open to allow for higher potential influence, or is that switch closed? Which then puts you into this internal feedback loop. So what we want to do is work with this, and as we work with the bioholograms to change them, we change a lot of these switches to on. So we actually change the structuring and the functioning of the microtubules. Microtubules, from the physical perspective, they function in maintaining the structure of the cell. So they help to maintain the physical integrity of our body. So depending on that, how we experience ourselves, if you like, and the physical structure, you will find bioholograms within the microtubules that are impacting on the way that your body is manifesting. Illnesses, diseases, physical stuff, things like that. The microtubules also provide platforms for intracellular transport. So they transport information and hence chemicals and other things to and from various parts of the cell. So they're really involved with loads and loads of processes down at the cellular level. They are also involved in cell division. So they're involved in helping to maintain integrity while the cells divide. The microtubules are in every cell. So they're found in the nerve cells, in the glial cells. So the myofascia is actually more, you probably find it in there, I'm not sure, Rosemary. Lymph vessels, certainly lymph cells, but all cellular structures would contain microtubules. So that might be an interesting to actually have a look at. I'll have a look at that afterwards. But certainly all of the cells of our body which are responsible for all of the activities contain these particular little wonderful tubules. Discovery, and here's this is from physics, this is physics.org. Discovery of quantum vibrations in the microtubules corroborates the theory, that's a duplicate, corroborates the theory of consciousness actually being part and parcel of our physical body, that consciousness is actually created through our being. So from a consciousness perspective, the microtubules are the central mechanisms of consciousness. They help to transmit and communicate that consciousness within our cellular structure and between cells. They contain our bioholograms as multidimensional graphics using water as the medium. So within the microtubules, you might like to think of it as in the same way that computers store multifunctional graphics as images and bits and bytes on silicon, because it's the silicon chip that runs the external computers. This is a biocomputer that uses water as the medium instead of silicon. Yeah, if fascia and meridians are water structures, I have a feeling that they are part of the transport structures. So they would be working with the microtubules, as if they are water structures, that they become part of the communication system within the body. And we know that if we actually work with the fascia to actually release it, that all sorts of things and patterns and memories and images can actually be released through that process of manipulating and working with the fascia. So to me, they would work hand in hand, the fascia, the meridians, and the microtubules. Does that make sense, Rosemary? That's my sense, that they work together. Yeah. So the microtubules also, they respond by switching on or off depending on the content of the biohologram. On is open, off is closed and protected. So where we have limiting patterns, beliefs, thoughts, etc., that would cause the microtubule to actually switch off and hold that pattern in a closed loop of perception or behavior. If the switch is on, and we can change that biohologram through our conscious interaction with it as a living expression of consciousness, we change it, we open the switch, we actually change completely the influence of that biohologram through our entire system. Okay, so they determine whether you live within a closed loop of perception and behavior. So our degree of presence and our degree of consciousness of who we are and our ability to address those external issues through the bioholograms determines the extent to which we are able to open ourselves to receive the full intuitive beauty, abundance, and capacity of our total full potential self. Does that make sense? So we need to be present to our consciousness, present to our being, present to life itself in order to actually bring those changes about. And I just love this little one. It's like when consciousness takes a holiday. So when consciousness takes a holiday, so if our consciousness is off and not being present to life in all of its manifestations, everything. So that's when we turn our back on things that we don't want to look at. Challenging circumstances from pathological bioholograms take control. They take over, and they represent areas where we are not fully present to ourselves or to life. So those bioholograms are disconnected from their full potential outcome, and they run the show, and it means that we are not fully present. So it's really becoming aware of those. Again, we've got a total feedback loop. So we really want to pull, it's quite okay from time to time for consciousness to take a holiday. We just don't want it to take a permanent break. And it may be that consciousness takes a holiday only in certain areas or segments or sectors of our life. What we want to do in our process of becoming fully potentialized and fully integrated is about being conscious 100% of the time. And let's face it, that's something we are all working on. It's not a judgment. It's not anything. It's just a case of being fully aware to the best of our ability. So here's a little bit more about bioholograms. They are the physical manifestation or imprint, and it is alive. They are alive. And it lies within your cells, within the microtubules. Everything that you perceive or think creates an imprint or an image that is stored as a geometry or picture within the water of the microtubules. So you know that wonderful expression, thoughts are things. Whatever we think, and how we actually then feel and respond and perceive what it is that we are thinking. It can be a neutral thought, so it's not really doing very much, but whatever we feel about that thought becomes part and parcel of what becomes enfolded as this biohologram geometry or picture, whatever it is, within the microtubules. You are a complex information system that is imprinted or unfolding within the quantum field of absolute potential. So you are constantly unfolding your highest potential self. Your bioholograms are conscious living entities, requiring that we treat them as such rather than as something just imagined or thought. Now, this is where this differs slightly from perhaps some of the hypnosis systems or some of the NLP methods or some of the other ways in which we perceive our beingness, because in many of those cases, it is viewed that that pattern is something that is not necessarily alive, that it is something that is inert, is still something that actually seeks to be transformed, but we don't view it almost as a living entity. Whereas these patterns, once we start communicating with them as living consciousness, as living entities, units, living units of consciousness that are residing in our bodies, within us, we can begin to really bring about change in a more profound way. So love is the force that enables us to achieve synergy with this ultimate field of quantum potential. So this is really a quantum process. As we transform our bioholograms into their full potential, we refine our internal alignment with source and our ability to create or manifest. So I think that is straightforward. So having gone through all of the science, have you guys got the concept of what this is? So you will have loads and loads and loads of individual living entities of information, of images. They are alive within you. Okay, so key points. Your diamond self or your full potential self unfolds within you as you transform your bioholograms. Rachel says it's understanding that we are much greater than we realized. Yeah, we are full, biocomputers. The physicists that are actually studying the functioning of the microtubules are using the knowledge that they've actually established to develop biological quantum computers. Now you kind of go, well, we are a living biological computer, a quantum computer. It lives within us. So we actually have so much more potential and capacity than what we had realized, and so much more control than perhaps what we had understood. Okay, so the ninth wave, which many of you will be familiar with, as referenced by Carl Kalleman, holds the holograms of ultimate potentiality, personally and collectively. We are therefore developing a quantum entanglement with the photons of the ninth wave. The ninth wave started being enlivened upon our planet and bringing in its associated holograms of full potentiality in 2011. However, the pre-wave of the ninth wave started many years before that, and the diamond work, your diamond self or full potential self, is the aspect of you that is aligned with the holograms contained within the ninth wave. So in essence, what we are doing with the transformation work through this is we are able to bring the evolutionary advanced aspects into unfoldment within our being, so helping to anchor in the ninth wave, which is the culmination of our physical expression in life. The ninth wave, Araya, it's an interesting question. Is it related to dimensions at all? I would actually say that the ninth wave is multidimensional in nature. So it's not that it comes from a higher dimension. I work with what's the word? sort of bringing all of that into a cohesive whole, which is what the diamond work does. It is a multidimensional body, as opposed to getting into any kind of hierarchical structure that says this is sixth dimension, seventh, eighth, ninth, whatever it is, because there's a lot of ego that's playing out there in the field around that. So yes, there's a dimensional aspect, but it is a multidimensional cohesion through the ninth wave and in those holograms. So it supports us in embodying our multidimensionality. So let's see, we've got some comments here. Rachel says, what a wonderful reminder the other day of the process we did in 2017. Yeah, you see the synchronicities of actually me wanting to do this and then beginning to pull the material together and how it aligns with whatever you guys may have been experiencing also over these past weeks or so. So Bonnie said, I think we are understanding these concepts and getting language for it now. Yes, very interesting. Thank you, Bonnie. Just as you said, you understand this now at a deeper level. However, I believe I and others have always believed the patterns were alive. This sheds light on how they are alive and where they are alive. Love the science showing the consciousness of our higher self. It makes sense. There is a closed and open system. Thank you, Bunny. Yes, it's absolutely wonderful. You're right. They have always been alive. It's just that we then begin to communicate with them as alive and living entities and aspects of consciousness. And yes, there is a different language it shows you. It shows us how and why, and that's the beauty of the new science and where science is going. It really is kind of narrowing the gap between consciousness and science, spirituality, if you like. So the changes take place within our microtubules, and this shift becomes part of the new instruction set for your DNA. Hence, so-called DNA activations take place in the microtubules with the bioholograms and not with the DNA itself. It is communicated through the water that is pumped through the microtubules, and that is what then it's part of the environmental input or set of instructions that your DNA receives, because your DNA only does what it does on the basis of the instructions that it receives from its environment, its internal and external environment. All of that takes place through the mediation of the bioholograms. So it starts making a lot more sense. The ultimate source of whatever problem you are facing is actually the solution. We are driven by potential. Potential actually drives life. So the potential is the potential outcome of whatever the challenges that you are facing, which is already held as the solution by your future highest full potential self, i.e. within the diamond. So, does that make sense? Are you comfortable with that? So we're going to go into a really beautiful process. Rosemary's just typing. I'd love to see what she actually says here. A really beautiful process that connects you with whatever bioholograms are impacting and having the greatest impact for you at the moment. So let's have a look. Can the bioholograms be reinstated by iconography, etc.? Okay, so iconography as in pictures. Can they actually change the patterning? Yeah, well, if we understand that geometries and images enfold information, and that they also are aspects of living consciousness, then the way that we relate to them can impact on the functioning of our bioholograms. So I think that's where some of the practices using mandalas actually comes in, that by focusing on the mandala, you actually begin to program your energetic system and program the bioholograms with whatever the content of that mandala is. So Raya says, yeah, you just started speaking this as I typed it. Okay. Yeah, beautiful. This helps us understand why mandalas, visual light codes, can help us to shift. They are all aspects of the components. So, and I think what's really important is becoming more conscious of that interaction and the impact that it has. So when we engage with those tools consciously, Yeah. When we engage with those tools consciously, we will have a greater impact as opposed to just staring at an image. Does that make sense? Negative things out there in exactly the same way. Yes, I agree with you. Yes, absolutely. The negative things out there in terms of um, iconography. I get what you're saying, Rosemary. Yes. And I am absolutely with you. And it's one of the reasons why, through some of the work that I've done, I've been so insistent that we become symbolically literate so that we can understand where there is negative meaning or interpretation that goes along with the iconography, because that then becomes part of the programming and the reinforcement of whatever the negative bioholograms or the challenging bioholograms might be. So, yes, it can work both ways. So, there's negative iconography where the true meaning of symbols has actually become distorted and reinforced through societal programming, through adverts, etc., advertising, and. Yes. So, think you get that? Trying to, isn't this what Dr. Emoto proved with water? Yes, 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 yes. Water holds memory. So there's to all of those people that are actually saying, oh, that's absolute hooey, and the whole concept of aromatherapy is not aromatherapy, homeopathy is total nonsense because there's no single physical molecule of the original item in the water. Water stores memory, and they're finding that now in our biology. So you start expanding that and you're going, yeah, okay, that's why homeopathy works, because it's doing exactly the same thing. And how words and symbols on a jar of water, positive or negative, can change its structure. Yes, 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 yes. Well, okay, so there's an interesting comment, Rosemary. Thank you. It says, if the basic hologram is removed, are you then immune to reinfection? Well, what we seek to do is not necessarily remove the hologram, we seek to transform it. So if it is actually causing issues in our lives in respect of what is being projected, we seek to transform it into its full potential. And the minute that we have done that, we then gain a measure of additional presence and cohesiveness of consciousness. Make sense? Got it. Yeah. So once we have that, we can't be infected. So I often look at advertising and symbols, and because I can see what they're doing, I'm going, I know exactly what you're doing. But you've got to be constantly, constantly aware. Otherwise, it just gets programmed in and reinforces what is there. So, this was a slide I actually used in last month's session. And I just thought, oh, it's absolutely beautiful, because it does, I think, illustrate really beautifully this interaction that we have, because our full potential self, okay, our Christed consciousness, the attributes of that are contained within our DNA structure. Remember I said X-ray crystallography, we can see that our DNA actually projects a diamond. And it has the potential to carry an incredible amount of light. So this is symbolic of our Christed consciousness, the aspects of Christed consciousness that we carry and awaken within. But in order for that to be realized, what our DNA does, depending on how it spirals and what it's expressing, is influenced by the patterns, the programs, and the bioholograms in the microtubules. So that influences the degree to which our Christed consciousness unfolds from within. So our Christed consciousness is not something that is actually out there. It is something that is actually within us all the time. We are just unfolding and unfolding the light with every bit of work that we do with these bioholograms in respect of helping them to reach maturity. So we have what we call the bioholograms, which are creating problems or issues, maybe thought of as immature bioholograms. So those are the ones that they're kind of like the 2-year-olds, the terrible twos, and the kids that just sort of kick against the system and all of the rest of it. Marina says that's the first time I've seen the infinity symbol in that image. What? Here with the Christed consciousness, or where? Oh, here with the diamond. Oh my God. Yes, thank you, Marina. I see what you're seeing. Oh, that's beautiful. I've never seen that either. I've never noticed it. However, it also makes complete sense of why the infinity symbol and the infinity loops are part and parcel of what we do with any diamond alignment work. So you know that, Marina, because you've done the training with me. But we use the golden diamond, golden infinity loops. And in fact, we are going to use the golden infinity loops in the process today because we want to link the future potential of the biohologram with its developing counterpart, its undeveloped or underdeveloped counterpart. Linda, hi, lovely. Better late than none at all. Greetings, lovely to see you too. Araya, isn't that so funny? Araya says, that's so funny. I could only see the infinity and was struggling to see the diamond. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, this is an actual physical X-ray crystallography image of a cross-section through the DNA and undertaken by a woman, which is how Watson and Crick knew that there were two strands to the DNA molecule that were winding around each other. So this was the original or foundational image and understanding that fed into the pioneering work of Watson and Crick. So yeah, that's where you have. But what's fascinating is to see that it projects the light form of a diamond. And that's exactly what the spiraling of the DNA does. And when it's spiraling in golden mean ratio proportions, it's a perfect octahedral diamond as opposed to a squashed or a elongated one. So yeah, but it's so funny that you saw the infinity sign before you saw the diamond. The two are intricately linked. Right. So, right, I've said enough. That's actually been an hour of actually going through that. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Marina says myofascial unwinding of my spine has just activated as watching and discussing this. Oh, isn't it interesting? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. As we very often, that's what the images can do, can't they? Is they do stimulate those responses and reactions within us. There you go. Yes. So your bioholograms are getting ready. They're getting ready to be elevated. They're going, yeah, 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 yeah. Let's unfold some more of our potential. Thank you. Let's connect with the solutions. So does anybody have any questions or comments before we go into the process itself? And you all have an issue or a challenge that you are able to focus on for this process. So just a couple of nods will be great. Yes, ready, yes, ready, yes, ready. So this is a different process to the ones that we have done before. Okay, fabulous. Well done, everybody. Thank you. Fabulous. Okay, so let's get ready to do some transformation. And you'll see why you can apply this then once you've got this recording to absolutely anything in your life. So today we want to focus on the integrity of abundance, of allowing ourselves to be able to receive that in alignment with our purpose and our highest mission, the reason for which we were actually birthed into being upon the planet. So make yourselves comfortable and gently close your eyes. And just simply begin by breathing and watching your breath. As you allow yourself to surrender to the process, to this journey, to the unfoldment of yourself, to the purity and the beauty of the ultimate expression of who you are. the amazing potential, the home of all solutions. And in order to make initial contact with that home, with that potential, I ask that you invoke your diamond or imagine it taking shape around you. For those of you here that are new, imagine your diamond as two octahedra, as two pyramids joined at the base, one pointing up, one pointing down, forming a beautiful sacred octahedral form or shape, and then aligning this shape with you in the center. With the base of each pyramid aligned directly with the very base of your spine, aligned with your holy bone, your sacrum, your sacred bone, reaching up above your head to what we may know as your soul star energy center, and down below your feet to what we may know as the earth star. Allowing yourself to feel and experience being completely held, safe within this space. With beauty, comfort, protection, surrounded by a field of pure, unfiltered love. It washes into your diamond, it flows in from the cosmos and from the earth itself, filling up this beautiful field of light that surrounds you, that holds you, with a source of love beyond all comprehension. Just allow yourself to experience for a few moments. And now, within this space, this sacred space, identify the bioholograms that are specific and pertinent to this moment in time that may be blocking your potential realization, receiving of abundance, security. Just focus on the challenge. And then allow your consciousness to actually move into your body. And be aware that there is a signal, there is an energy pulse that represents the specific challenge that you are facing at this moment. And that pulse comes from deep within your cellular structure. It is being transmitted through the water in your body, and it draws your consciousness within to connect with a specific enfolded pattern or form within a specific microtubule within the cell of your body. Just allow your consciousness to identify, follow the energy thread, find the location, and observe the source of the disturbance, the source of the challenge. Take note of any feelings that may be associated with your connection to this specific biohologram that has called your consciousness to connect with it. So, what are the emotions or feelings that may be arising as you connect with this specific biohologram unit? Maybe frustration or anger or sadness. Allow yourself to feel and observe. Now take note of the impact that this biohologram has on your physical body. In other words, is it making itself manifest somewhere physically in your body? Are there physical symptoms that it is producing? What are the colors? What are its shapes, textures, tones, smells, or anything else, any other aspect of the biohologram that you can sense right now? Just allow yourself to connect with it all. Now, bearing in mind that you are surrounded and infused with a field of love that emanates from the macro level of the diamond grids of the cosmos, of the ultimate source of life, and from the earth, and extend that field of love to surround the biohologram. So, whatever it is emotionally that you feel emanating from it, simply surround it with this love. As you recognize that it has been doing something inside of you, unknowingly, unwittingly, to call your attention to its being, to call your attention to the potential for unfoldment of higher outcomes, and extend along with that wave of love as you surround it your deepest appreciation for its presence. And if you have the opportunity, you may like to just explore or ask where that biohologram originates. Does it originate with you and this life? Does it originate with your ancestors? Does it originate or arise out of the culture? Just be aware if there are any responses that you receive. And bearing in mind that your biohologram is a living unit of consciousness, that it is alive within you. You now ask if it wishes to communicate with you. and then ask what it wants. What does it want at this moment in time? Listen, sense, allow it to show you. What is it doing in you in order to get what it wants? And what does it get? Allow yourself to be so fully immersed within your body that the answers arise or are communicated to you with ease. So, bearing in mind now that often the initial answer is not necessarily the deeper truth of the situation, you now go deeper. Immerse yourself in and with this biohologram. Ask what it really wants. What is its real intent? Be aware of what arises, what you hear, sense, feel, and see. What is it seeking? And now, connecting with your highest potential diamond self to guide you, and the field of love that is emanating through that diamond around and through you. Ask what it would be like to reach the real intent of this biohologram in a more effective way. So, where it is creating disharmony, how may whatever this unit, this beautiful living aspect of consciousness, how it may be supported to achieve the outcome more effectively. And now understanding that the full potential or the solution or outcome to whatever the challenge is already exists within the field of your total integrated full potential self. Allow yourself now to connect with the unit of living consciousness within your own higher potential field that represents the outcome or the solution for this biohologram. In this way, you are accessing the full potential unit or self of the hologram itself. And as you do, you may not be able to see immediately what is contained within that, but there is a thread of golden light that begins to emanate from the highest potential self from somewhere within your diamond. And that golden thread weaves a trail and weaves its way to connect with the troubled biohologram within your body, connecting with it, initiating and opening a spark of light. And then it weaves its way round and back to create a golden figure of eight loop that creates an energetic pathway, a constantly flowing energy pathway and biofeedback loop between the hologram and its full potential counterpart. Notice what takes place within the biohologram as you do this. And explain, almost as a mediator, to your biohologram that when it grows up or matures or expands, it will become its full potential self and get everything that it wants in a most effective way. And having made the connection, invite the biohologram to transform into its fullest potential and ask if now would be a good time. And just observe what happens as these two units are connected through the golden figure-8 loop that feeds the highest potential information into the biohologram itself. Bringing in the information and the insight and what is needed to facilitate the transformation. And once the transformation has taken place within the biohologram, you now ask the full potential expression of it if it will work in alignment with you and your full potential self from here on. Be aware of the responses. Will it commit to communicate, cooperate, and correlate, and support you in making adjustments each and every day? And will that mature, full potential expression help you to manage your old situations in a new and more effective way, so that you can transform the insights and the energy exchange into actions and behaviors that will support the ongoing embedding of the full potential within your physical form. And be aware of what happens. You may notice that that figure-8 loop, where it originally may have seemed to be long, and that the gap between the biohologram and its potential outcome was large, has begun to shrink and tighten as it draws the full potential energy and brings it into being to support and serve the transformation of the biohologram itself. So as it begins to shift, you are aware of a maturation effect, of an expansion, a changing of the image and pattern and the emotion that you originally were aware of. How have the emotions changed? How has the activity changed? How has the image changed as this transformation process deepens? And you ask the biohologram that is in the process of transforming if it will help you to manage your old situations in a new and more effective way. Will it extend its resources to you in helping to make a difference in the collective and on the planet? Does it have any messages or assignments for you right now and in this moment that you are required to commit to in order to support and sustain the maturation and the growth and unfolding process of the beauty of this aspect of your potential? What is it asking you to commit to in support of this process? So, just for a moment now, be aware of the fact that you can constrict that figure of eight loop, tighten and tighten and tighten so that it brings the full potential solution into clarity and into the original biohologram, so that it folds in on itself, creating what you see simply as a golden circle surrounding both. And be aware that this may still expand back outwards, for the process of integration requires your conscious input and shifts in behavior, thoughts, and actions. It requires your presence and awareness. So that figure eight loop that has enfolded these in a golden circle may still then expand itself to separate the two components, but they are always connected. So as you draw them closer together now and you unfold them within a golden circle, take a look around at the microtubule structure and notice how many more switches may be turned on than are turned off. And then what happens within your cells and to your DNA as a consequence of this. Your own amazing little biological computer, tiny, tiny, tiny micro quantum computers in the cells of your body are absolutely magical. And it's like you're reprogramming the hard drive with this new information, this new software. And the bits and the bytes and the switches become more active. What happens within your cell and what happens to your DNA as you hold this golden encapsulated aspect within your microtubules? Just observe the magnificence of these actions at the quantum level. Observe the light, the additional light that is transmitted now through the water, communicating with every cell in your body, not just this one. The ripple effect flows out, quantum in nature, impacting on every single unit of consciousness within your body. The microbiome, all of the cells that are yours, that are not yours. How much differently do they function with this one simple transformation? Be aware of a celebration and a joyous response within your body. And take a deep breath in. As you hold the tension within this newly transformed biohologram and its highest potential beingness, and your diamond field remains strong and stable and filled with love. There is no need to release it, for it is you. It is a reminder always of the perfection of you that is constantly unfolding, polishing the facets of being with each intervention, each conscious act of presence and of love and of transformation. So you hold your diamond field in place, embraced and held with love, aware of a new joy and energy being transmitted throughout your physical body. And take a look around, just be aware of what that projection from the transformed aspect of you will create in your life if it has all that it has been trying to achieve. What are you being shown? And then be aware of any synchronicities that take place that align you with that outcome. So ask your highest potential self to feed an enhanced intuitive impulse when any of those synchronicities present or make themselves known. So that you may chart your progress, bear witness to your unfoldment through the very manifestation of life itself. Breathe in deeply. And breathe out. And when you are ready, allow yourself to return to waking consciousness, to this place and space that is adjusted and aligned. One more deep breath in and breathe out with a sigh as you return. And how are you doing? Are you back? Mm-hmm. How's it feel? Linda says wonderful. Geraldine said peaceful. That's interesting, yeah, because how did you feel? Beautiful, not quite back, Marilyn says. All good. Okay, so how did you feel? What kind of reactions, responses were you getting? Rosemary says, wow, oh, that's wonderful. Feeling good. What kind of responses did you get when you first connected in? Because I had a process going on here, even while I was actually working through it with you. Because I had a holodyne that was like kicking and screaming and punching and and doing all sorts of stuff. It was really, really interesting. Um, so I need to follow that thread for myself because I was really caught in the script itself. And do some more work with this, but I could feel the difference after we had been through the process, like everything settled down. And you were using those words, peaceful, feeling good, feeling, sort of feeling positive. That's really what I was sensing emotionally as well through the process. So it's very interesting. Curious and excited to see how this unfolds. Yes. And that's where the request for heightened intuitive ability and connection is important, so that you guys can be aware of all of the shifts and the changes that actually take place from here on, because that awareness is a really, really important thing. The more aware you are, the more you can actually make those micro adjustments to your life rather than it being a huge adjustment. So let's see. Manon says, wow, this was incredible. I had something with a bad smell and a kick in the stomach. Wow. Now the nausea settled down, and I'm very curious how it will integrate. As we know, lovely, Manon. Thank you so much for sharing. That's powerful. Um, yes. Yeah, it's going to be curious to see how it does. There's a process of integration, as I said, whereby we will make micro adjustments to responses and reactions as long as we are aware of those intuitive hits and impulses that jolt us into that connection so that we become more conscious. So yeah, we've got some. I had an experience of disco. That's an interesting one. Natalie says, I will have to do this with the recording. It seems very powerful. I had to leave the meeting. Oh, what a pity, Natalie. Thank you. Yes. Well, you will have the recording, so you will be able to redo it. So that will be with you. So Mary says everything is oscillating. Oh, so you've got movement. That's another thing. Yes, it does. Where we've been stuck in a fixed biofeedback loop, it can be stagnant. So we get the movement back in place. So that's really interesting, Mary. Rachel says lots of random images came in, teeth buzzing, pressure in my head, felt my heart activate, got very warm. I'm noticing a lot of aches and pains in my body. More I went quite deep and my head fell forward. Oh, interesting. Then suddenly I sat up straight and felt very powerful. I noticed that my diamond was very strong and stable before you said it. Interesting to see what unfolds. Wonderful. Thank you. Rosemary says Darth Vader being squeezed by an iron fist. Wow. Conflict result. More peace with MF. I'm not sure what that male, female, in all areas. Very interesting. Yeah. And however it presents is unique. It's perfect for you, Manon says, yesterday I did your future self meditation and the vibration that I saw was several multicolored infinity loops. Oh, that's beautiful with golden sparkles. So very interesting that all of this came up today. Oh, that's wonderful, Manon. Yeah. Well, glad you enjoyed that. I had somebody else who had a really powerful experience with the future self meditation. Deb says, felt heat in my back and heart was beating a lot in the beginning and then settled down. Yeah, because we would have come face to face with something that we haven't perhaps wanted to look at. So there's also the fear of that. There was a wonderful, wonderful post, and I think, Rachel, you shared it the other day, which was that very same magic that enthralls us about our full potential self is exactly the same essence and energy that actually terrifies us. So at the same time as we have this desire to experience life fully in all of its magic and wonder, we have an aspect of us that is terrified of doing that, because to be able to fully experience it is to allow ourselves to be overtaken completely by bliss. And that is to then relinquish control. So that part of us, there are parts of us that are terrified of letting go completely. So it's quite interesting that some of you had those experiences. Manon says, yes, I also felt a huge wave. What else have we got? A couple more comments. Very powerful. Core power restored. The hologram was trying to drain me of light, so it survived. Light and love. Yes. Absolutely. I had a lot going on, but ultimately, in short, I took my power back and can now be in sync with my full potential self. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Marina. So I think the whole idea is that, we have lots of these little bioholograms that we can then do that with. And as we do this over and over and over with a different focus, we strengthen and reinforce that alignment and really facilitate the unfoldment of light within us as much as possible, or more and more and more, more and more. So we dissolve into, we move through the fear of fully embracing everything that we are, the totality of our light and being. Wonderful, everyone. I know that this has gone on a little bit longer than we usually do, so it was so. Apologies for that, but it was all of the build up to it, and I did say this was going to be a proper teleclass. So thank you, everybody, so much for your participation in your sharing. With a few more comments coming in the chat room. What I will do, it was very worth the time. Oh, bless you, Manon. Thank you. Thanks. Lovely. I'm so pleased that you were here to join us live. It's always more meaningful and powerful when we have the opportunity to come together as a group to be able to share in this energy and compound and amplify the impact and the effect. So I really do, from my heart to all of yours, I am truly grateful for your presence and beingness. And hopefully this is something that you would be able to integrate not only as part of your own journey, but you would be able to then also share this wisdom with others, because that's part and parcel of what we do. And then also imprinting it into the collective with everything that you do. So we're changing so much. So thank you, thank you. So Mary's saying thank you, amazing, wonderful. Rachel says, I think I'm going to talk more to my cells and body and remember that I'm more alive than I realized. Yes. Thank you, Julie, and everyone for sharing your energy. Honored to share mine with you. Always, always, Rachel. Yes, thank you. So a few more comments coming in. Just really beautiful. I feel really wonderful now. Just because I know that holodyne within me has also stabilized and settled down. So Linda says, love how the universe works. Yesterday I was working with holographic biofilm upgrades with Dorian Light, which is another interpretation of this work. I guess I was, where is this? I guess I was ready to get this. Thank you. I will really re-listen to it or many times. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Tanya, really buzzing. Base of spine. See, feels infinite. Thank you. I'm not sure what happened, but feeling more alive now. Thank you. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you for being here. It's really wonderful. Extraordinary process. Geraldine says mind bending and viscerally powerful. Yeah, mind bending. I know, but it didn't really sort of freak you out too much. Amazing journey in a couple of earth hours. Thank you, Julie, for the gift that you are. A beautiful collection of souls today. Loved being present here with you all, and we loved you being here too, Geraldine. Thank you, thank you. Deb, thank you, Julie. That's wonderful. So, as my blessings to you, have a wonderful evening, afternoon, day, morning, wherever you are. May you all unfold more of your light from within with each iteration through this process. May it be a gift, and your gift to yourself and to the world. And my gift to you, thank you for bringing yourself to share in this beautiful, beautiful process and forum. Thank you all.